faithful. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the first game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today on the mound for the D-backs, right-hander Zach Gallen, and for the Padres, right-hander Yu Darvish. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Loft Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We hear from Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn. We check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. in just a little bit, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 87-72. They have clinched a wild card spot in the National League, and we know they're playing the Chicago Cubs in a wild card series beginning on Tuesday. The Cubs already won today, so their magic number to clinch the first wild card spot is 1. So that means the Padres would have to sweep the D-backs and the Cubs would have to lose their next 2 games in order for that wild card series to be here in San Diego. Not impossible, but a lot has to happen. Right now, the Padres would head to Chicago for that series beginning on Tuesday, a best of 3. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks come in 80-79. They still have hope to grab the final wild card spot in the NL. They're 2 games behind the Mets for that spot, but they could be eliminated tonight if they lose and the Mets win in Miami. Before we turn our full attention to this series against Arizona, the final series of the regular season, let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Padres were going for a 3-game sweep of the Brewers on Wednesday. They trailed 1-0 in the 6th inning. It was Jackson Merrill who dug in.
1-2 in the air to left field. That's well struck. Powers is back into the corner at the wall. This one gonna go! Jackson Merrill puts it over the little wall in left field. An opposite field homer to tie this game. 1-1 in the bottom of the 6th.
But the Brewers responded in the top of the 7th inning. A runner on second base against Adrian Morejon.
Morejon, a look back at second base. Now the pitch. Churio runs in a line drive into center field. That's a base hit. Churio will come in to score as Merrill's throw rolls to the plate. And an RBI single for Turang with 2 outs in the 7th. Puts the Brewers back ahead. It's 2-1.
Padres then had a big-time scoring chance against Brewers reliever Nick Mears in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bases loaded and 1 out, but Mears struck out Freddie Fermin, got a fly out from Luis Arraez to end the inning. Top of the 9th inning, Jeremiah Estrada gave up a solo home run. Final score on Wednesday, the Brewers 3 and the Padres 1. Padres did win 2 out of 3 from the Brew Crew, and now after an off day yesterday, the Padres beginning the final series of the regular season. We know they're going to the postseason, like I said a little bit earlier. It just depends where that series against the Cubs is going to be. If it's here, if it's Chicago, certainly a lot of work to do if it's going to be here, but we shall see what happens over the course of the next couple of days. Tonight is also the final night of the Padres wearing their first City Connect uniforms with the pink and the mint and the bright colors, what they've been wearing the last handful of years. They have become so popular here in San Diego, but it is, at least this iteration of City Connect uniforms, the final City Connect night with these uniforms. So final time you'll see the Padres in these very bright, very colorful, very popular uniforms here tonight. So enjoy it while you can. Last time you will see it before the Padres introduce a new era of City Connect uniforms next year in 2026. As we get ready for today's game, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr., presented by the San Diego Mojo. Major League Volleyball is fast, fierce, and unforgettable. Fans will be on their feet. This is San Diego Rising.
We check in with Tony Gwynn Jr. from inside the Padres radio booth. And Tony, good to have you with us as always. Obviously, final series of the regular season. Padres have most of what they need to accomplish right now wrapped up. If they win tonight, that would keep the hopes alive to potentially host that wild card series here at home. So let me ask you this. If you know, you're a San Diego Padre, if you're Mike Shildt, how are you handling this series right now when it comes to balancing, sort of making sure guys are rested and ready for the wild card series, but I suppose also acknowledging that you still do have a chance to host that series if you win a bunch and you get some things go your way on the out-of-town scoreboard?
Listen, I think because everything's really out of the Padres' control in terms of, you know, what can move forward, I think they approach this as just trying to fine-tune their game, you know, whether on the offensive end, defensively, pitching. Everybody just wants to go into the postseason feeling their best. And I don't know that rest is a factor in it. I mean, you had a day off yesterday. Some guys got some days, a couple days before that. And so I would say that everybody's probably pretty rested. If someone has something nagging, yeah, maybe you give them a day to kind of address that. But I think for the most part, this is about playing the best baseball you can so that you can have the best feeling going into the postseason.
Yeah, let's talk about a few players that are playing some of their best baseball of the season right now. Let's begin with Jackson Merrill. I mean, ever since coming off the IL from that ankle injury, he has been really, really good. An OPS north of 1,000 in his last 12 games. What are you seeing right now from Jackson, Tony?
I mean, outside of the first 14 at-bats where I think he went hitless, he's been phenomenal. And I think it all has to do with a couple things. I haven't necessarily seen teams attack him above the zone and consistently like they were doing during that stretch when he was healthy before the ankle. But I also think he's doing a much better job of not chasing and attacking in the zone. I don't think Jackson's ever going to be a dude who draws a ton of walks because he's up there to swing. And as long as he's attacking pitches that he can handle, which is, I would say, just below the top of the zone and down. He handles all of that well. It's just when he starts to expand up above that zone is where he gets into trouble, and he stayed away from that for the most part.
Yeah, he's been very, very good as of late. Another left-handed hitter that is swinging the bat really well right now, Ryan O'Hearn, 12 for 24. That's 500 in his last 6 games. Your thoughts on what Ryan O'Hearn is doing as of late?
He had his one extra or early hitting day in Chicago before the first game against the White Sox, and he hasn't really turned back in. The thing I'm noticing is he already kind of has some body movement as the ball gets ready to come in the zone. I think he's kind of trimmed off some of the head movement that he was having as he was attacking the baseball, and I think that's allowed him to be more accurate in his swing. And boy, he's used the whole field. I mean, the bases clearing double he had in Chicago, the second game of that series, lefty on lefty. That to me was the first sign that you knew, oh yeah, he's back and he's right, and it's just continued ever since then.
Tony, let's touch on this pitching matchup tonight. Start with the Padres side of it. Yu Darvish on the mound, final start of the regular season. We still don't know the Padres' plans for the wild card series, what games 2 and 3 would look like. You figure that Darvish, in all likelihood, is going to play into the plans in some capacity. What will you be looking for tonight from Yu Darvish in this final regular season start?
Efficiency. That's the thing I'm looking for. For Darv, really, he struggled early in his starts, and he seems to get better as the start goes along. And so can he be efficient early? Can he land the pitches, whatever pitches he's deciding to use today against this Diamondback ball club who he has some success against? So I think for Darv, that's really all it's about. It's about efficiency. How deep can he get while being efficient? Because I think that's the thing that's going to determine how successful he's going to be in the postseason.
On the other side of the pitching matchup, Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona, a guy that Padres fans know very well. They faced him a ton of times over the years. He's had an interesting season, Tony. Did not get off to a good start in the first half, really at all. You thought maybe he was going to get traded at the deadline. He was not traded. And then since then, he's been excellent at 2.82 ERA in 10 starts since the deadline. When Gallen is going right, what does that typically look like?
Oh, it's tough. He's using that changeup. He's using the changeup off of the fastball. He's got the good curveball, but the changeup is the pitch I think that is his equalizer. And you know, I'm writing his numbers down today. You look at the 13-14 record. I mean, my man is going to be in the game. He's going to, regardless of how it's going, he's going to reach 5. And he's also good enough where it could be a long night for any offense if he's on. And so I think for the most part this season, he hasn't been himself. As you mentioned, as of late, he's gotten it rolling. That certainly is a good test for the Padres. And I think it's a good thing for the Padres to be facing a pitcher like this because these are exactly the type of pitchers they're going to face come postseason.
Yeah, I also think a good thing for the Padres facing a team that has a lot to play for still here tonight and throughout this weekend. We'll see. Diamondbacks need some help on the out-of-town scoreboard as well this weekend, but they are very much still in the picture for that final wild card spot. Big start tonight for Zach Gallen. Big game for Arizona and the Padres as far as maybe hosting that series here at home next week. That's still at play for San Diego. Tony, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:30. Thanks so much.
No problem, Sam.
All right, Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can message me there. You can also chime in on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you want to give me a key to today's game, you can do that as well, and I may just read your key to the game live here on the air. And for you TikTokers out there, you know me. I'm on TikTok, Sammy Levitt, SammyLevitt. Let me know if you're tuned in. May just get a shout out during our pregame coverage. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also take our first look at tonight's Padres lineup. Fernando Tatis Jr. is back in there for the first time on this homestand, so that's very, very good news. Much, much more to do as we get ready for first pitch coming up for Game 1 of this 3-game series against the D-backs. Much more coming up after this.
Stay tuned to the
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 for Game 1 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The final Friday night of the regular season. What a party it's about to be. The loft is buzzing. Everybody enjoying their drinks and their food and getting ready for what should be a fun Friday evening here in downtown San Diego. Take a look at the Padres lineup today. It looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in there today. He is leading off. Luis Arraez in right. Fernando in right field leading off. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Jackson Merrill in center field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Gavin Sheets in left field batting sixth. Ryan O'Hearn, the DH tonight, batting seventh. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting eighth, and Freddie Fermin doing the catching and batting ninth. Of course, if you missed it, bad news after the game on Sunday. We found out that Ramon Laureano had fractured his right index finger. He was essentially hit by a pitch, even though it was a foul ball on Wednesday against the Brewers in that at bat in the second inning, a ball that hit his finger on the bat, and unfortunately a fractured finger. As we learned after the game on Wednesday, he will be out until at least through the wild card series. So he will miss the wild card series at the very least, and then we'll see what happens from there. So not good news for the Padres, certainly. And Mike Shildt talked about that and much, much more earlier today.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, can we start with the return of Fernando? How good is it to have him back?
Felt good putting that name in the top of the lineup yesterday. Texted with him, and every day is gradually better. And yesterday, really felt almost back to normal, and said he's more than ready and excited to get back in the lineup.
On the other hand, you talked about a little bit in the post game the other day, the loss of Ramon Laureano. Can you just maybe go over again just how important he's been to this ball club and the loss it is for the postseason right now?
It is a loss. It's definitely the loss. Been very important for the club. Brings look, he's a really talented player. Mentioned it the other day. He's not overly splitty, so righties, lefties. He hits them both. He's actually been better against righties this year. So having the ability to have him down the 7-hole was, would have been a nice luxury to have, and one that we had a little bit for a while. But we're going to miss him. He brings an edge, a toughness, and played a really good left field. So, but he's not going to be with us. And so, listen, we're going to be there and support him, and he'll be with us and travel with us and be a good teammate. But we'll run with the 26 we're going to have on Tuesday, and we're going to go get them.
And to your point, it's not as though you've been with you all year. There have been other opportunities for other guys to step up as needed with other injuries and everything. So a little bit of a history of having done that, a little bit of consolation knowing that you've been there before and you guys have come through it.
Yeah, it's the consolation is the fact that I was just talking to Peeve about this. This hadn't been a straight line. No team has a straight line every year. But relative to moving pieces to your question, Scan, we've dealt with it all year. We just really have. And we came out of the gates with pretty much our entire team, and then we all know, without having to go over it, the things that have happened during the course of our position players and our starting pitching too, but specifically the lineup, we've been able to put it together. Good news is we've got a deep team. AJ's given us a lot of resources, and we move them around, and we've been able to be successful enough to clearly be in the playoffs.
Is there a move to announce yet who's replacing him right now?
Wagner's coming back. Yes, sir.
Can you disclose how he injured himself?
Who?
Laureano. How did he break his finger?
Oh, he got hit by that foul ball. It was like a foul ball of his finger. But eventually effectively a hit by a pitch.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That at bat?
Yes, sir. During that at bat. And one tough guy, like his finger's shattered. Like it's like a spider web. It's like and I saw it's like, I'm not clearly a doctor. And he was like,
Did he? And he went back in the game, didn't he?
He finishes at bat, and then we pulled him out immediately.
now that you know your matchup, maybe not necessarily where it's going to be, but you know your postseason matchup, what can you say about what the challenge would be like facing the Cubs next week?
We haven't played them in a while. Clearly, it's a good team. Had a great season. Very talented. Across the board. Pitching, the position players. They play defense. They do a lot of different things to win games, which clearly you do have to do to get in the playoffs. Again, we haven't played them since April, and but we're familiar and we have some experiences in that ballpark with some of our players, and we know the team fairly well, and it'll be a great series, I'm sure.
Both teams being a little bit different than they were in April, how much do you take from this 2-week series?
A lot of water under the bridge, right, in the last 5 months since April. To your point, we have a different roster. They have some different rosters. We also have some commonalities with some people that have been in the league on both sides that everybody's familiar with. So we have an understanding of who they are, and we've got our mind on this series, and we also have some attention towards getting prepared for that series as well.
Do you have a rotation for those 2 games yet?
Not a rotation yet, but we will announce something here soon, especially our game 1 starter, which I don't think anyone is going to need to be sitting down.
Exactly. But your game 2, that's still up in the air.
That's accurate.
Right.
Yes, sir.
You saw a lot of Wrigley Field when you were with the Cardinals. How tough a place can that environment be?
Seen a lot of Wrigley Field over the last however many 10 years or so. It's a great environment. I think it's one of the better environments in baseball. It's not Petco Park, but it's a wonderful, fun environment, and I always enjoy the opportunity to go play there.
You've been wearing these City Connect jerseys for a few years now. Is the last time you're going to get to put them on? Your thoughts on changing those up and how you have felt wearing them these past few years?
I think I applaud Eric Grubner and the business side of creating something that's really, really unique. And I don't know the numbers, but I know that when people want Padres gear, we have a lot of cool different uniforms. But man, male, female, people want the City Connect, and it's just a unique uniform that's we've enjoyed the last couple of years, and it creates another opportunity for something new next year.
It's fair to say this weekend there's some competition for the last couple spots in the bullpen on what that postseason roster.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah, I think we've got an idea, but who's throwing well and who's doing what they need to be doing is important.
You mentioned Laureano and his points in that number 7 spot. Those 6, 7, 8 lefties. Are you okay with that lane of lefties given kind of what they've done against lefties?
I think yes, to answer your question. I do think that we're going to continue as the research takes place, and we pay attention to matchups. There's an opportunity in there. I don't know about starting. Again, it's cart before the horse, but Jose Iglesias is taking some good at-bats for this team and some big at-bats. So, it's a lane that is likely to take place. I can't say for sure, but it's also, we have to explore the matchups individually with those lefties against, our lefties and in the moment what we need, what the game calls for.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear from Mike a little bit later in our post-game coverage coming up this evening. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the Diamondbacks. I thought a good question there from AJ Cassavell at the end of the pregame media availability. That lane that AJ was referring to, Gavin Sheets, Ryan O'Hearn, Jay Cronenworth, lefty, 6, 7, 8 in the Padres lineup. So something to just keep an eye on if the Padres do keep it that way without Ramon Laureano in their lineup right now. Because to AJ Cassavell's point in the question, that's a lane where, you could have a team kind of easily throw a lefty against that part of the lineup and keep the 3-batter minimum. So interesting scenario there. We'll see what the Padres do ultimately throughout the weekend and into game 1 of a wild card series on Tuesday, either in Chicago at Wrigley Field or here in San Diego against the Cubs. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's take a look at a handful of guys in the hot category. Luis Ariz is batting .353 in a 13-game hitting streak, the longest active hitting streak in the major leagues. He has 7 RBIs in that span. Ryan O'Hearn has been red hot as of late. His last 6 games, 12 for 24 with 8 RBIs. Jackson Merrill, also in the hot category, his last 12 games batting .306 with a .1068 OPS, 3 doubles, 6 home runs, and 8 RBIs. The not category, Gavin Sheets batting just .132 in his past 15 games, a span of 53 at-bats. Manny Machado just 2 for 21 in his last 5 games with a couple of singles. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Now let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Let's begin with a look at what is going on today across Major League Baseball at the start of the weekend as far as postseason races. Now, a number of these games, or I should say these teams, are already playing games right now. Nothing final. We'll get to the out-of-town scoreboard in our next segment. But let's set the picture for you here. The top 2 teams in the American League East, the Blue Jays and the Yankees, and the American League Central, the Guardians and Tigers, enter this final weekend of the season with identical records, though Toronto and Cleveland hold their head-to-head tiebreaker. So that's something to keep in mind right now. The AL East and the AL Central titles are very much up for grabs. In Boston, the Tigers and Red Sox enter their weekend series with each attempting to clinch a playoff spot. The Tigers clinched today with a win and an Astros loss, while the Red Sox can clinch a playoff spot with a win or an Astros loss tonight. Guardians can also clinch a playoff spot with a win and an Astros loss as they take on the Rangers tonight. The Brewers hosting the Reds tonight, seeking a club record 97th win of the season. They will clinch the number 1 seed in the Major League Baseball playoffs in the postseason with a victory tonight or a Phillies loss at home against the Twins. Also, a note on a player that came back today. Cubs right fielder Kyle Tucker was activated from the IL. He had been out of the lineup since early September with a calf injury. He went 1 for 4 with a walk and a couple of runs scored in the Cubs' 12-1 win earlier today against St. Louis. So that's certainly notable for the Padres. Kyle Tucker will be in that series against the Padres beginning on Tuesday. He returned from the IL earlier today. And that is a look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. We will have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a handful of minutes. When we come back, we give you our keys to today's game. You'll hear from Ryan O'Hearn. You'll hear from Gavin Sheets. Much more to do as we walk you up towards first pitch on a Friday evening here in downtown San Diego. Game number 160 out of 162. Hard to believe, the final weekend of the regular season, but don't worry, Padres baseball awaits after that. But first things first, got to wrap up the regular portion of the schedule. We continue our pregame coverage after this.
Hello, my friends. It's Woodsy. Did you know your water?
When you watch people on TV, have you ever wondered what are these foam things that go over the microphone? Let me show you.
This is a windscreen. They're really helpful when you're broadcasting outside.
Without it, do you hear that wind? But with it on, I sound much more clear.
Welcome to a day in my life as a minor league baseball broadcaster. Start my day with a cup of coffee, then to the stadium. Go to my booth, spend the morning cutting video from the night before, catching up on email, and researching for tonight's game. Then I go home, shower, get my work clothes, and on this day I made a stop for lunch. Barbecue. Then I drive back to the stadium, get our equipment ready like setting up all the mics. I watch batting practice, talk to the players, coaches, write my lineups in, keep researching, and prep for my pregame interviews. Change from this to this. I head down to the field, host my pregame show on TV, then back upstairs where I broadcast every pitch on TV and radio.
And the Soft Poodles win.
When you watch baseball on TV or listen to it on the radio, have you ever wondered how you hear this sound so clearly? At my stadium, that sound comes from this mic behind home plate. It's wired all the way up to my broadcast booth, where I plug it in, and that's how you hear it. During my broadcast last night, everyone wanted me to say avocado. Could I do it? Beautiful night here in San Antonio. So nice, it almost feels like that feeling when you break open an avocado, you spread it on a good piece of toast, you take a bite in the morning. And with that, the 2021 season. And with that, the 2022 season. And with that, the 2023 season. And with that, the 2024 season comes to an end. Good night. As a baseball broadcaster, many of you have asked me some version of this. Why do I peek down when a fly ball goes in the air? Let me show you. In my scorebook, I write down the defense and where every player is. That way, I can do this. 2-2 on the way. Swinging a drive into left. Going back, Matajevic drifting by the fence. He's looking up and say goodbye.
People keep asking how I go to the bathroom during games. Here's the answer. I run. The bathroom is far away. Really far. I only have 90 seconds.
The bottom half of the sixth
I'm
inning.
always out of breath.
Frisco 3, Amarillo 2.
How other broadcasters handle a foul ball.
Yeah! Hacks!
How I handle
3-2.
one.
Hit foul, straight back this way. Padres baseball coming up here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. First pitch at 6:40. Padres and the Diamondbacks. Game 1 of this 3-game series. Padres trying to keep their hopes alive of hosting the wild card series beginning on Tuesday of next week here in San Diego. The math right now pretty simple for that. The Padres, because the Cubs won earlier today, the Padres need to sweep this series. The Cubs have to lose their next 2 games to St. Louis, so not impossible. Is it likely? Well, who knows, but we'll see how it all goes. Right now, the Padres would head to Chicago next week for that best-of-3 wild card series. Let's quickly update you on the injuries for the Padres.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, first things first, good news. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the lineup here today. He missed 3 games earlier this week, that entire Brewers series with an illness. But the good news, Fernando back in the lineup today, leading off and playing right field. As you probably know by now, Ramon Laureano is out with a fractured right index finger. He will miss at minimum the wild card series next week, and then we'll see what happens from there with Ramon Laureano. And that is a quick look at our injury report on this Friday evening. Tatis back in, and Laureano, unfortunately, out of the lineup. Well, Gavin Sheets spoke with the media earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Of course, we know the Padres are playing the Cubs in the wild card series next week. We just don't know where. Here was Gavin Sheets when he was asked to assess the Chicago Cubs.
Obviously they got some new guys there that are from the pitching side at least. But it's two evenly balanced teams, 2 really good offenses, 2 good pitching staffs. So it's going to be who steps up in the 3-game series, and it's going to be a great series.
You're very familiar with Chicago weather, baseball atmosphere. What can you give a little scouting report to these guys? Kind of let them know what's October like at night on the north side.
Yeah, it's we were blessed within 21 in the playoffs that we got really good weather. So hoping for some of that because I know how nasty it can be and how windy it can be. And but yeah, hopefully we get graced with some good Chicago weather, and it was a great series.
You were only in these City Connects for a year, but last time you get to put them on, any nostalgia at all?
For me, no. I think they're cool. I think they're fun. It's fun for the city, and we're gonna rock them one last time.
Final regular season weekend at Petco Park. Can you just say what your first year with the Padres has meant to you?
It's been incredible. This fan base and this city and the way they brought me in and made me feel comfortable, and I feed off them and they feed off me. So it's been a great relationship, and we just couldn't say enough about this fan base and what it's like playing at Petco every single night.
Possibly playing left field at a place like Wrigley Field. Obviously, the Ivy. There's a couple of corners that get a little weird. What will your preparation look like to maybe get ready for something like that?
Yeah, it'll be nice if that's where we end up going. It'd be nice to get there a day early and get a bunch of reps out there. But fortunately, I have played a bunch of outfield there, being in the Crosstown series. So, although it was a National League team, the White Sox, we played there every single year and always played a lot of right field there. So it's similar dimensions over there where it's kind of got that jut out in the ivy and in the wind. And but it'll be nice to get there a day early and get as much as I need and get acclimated out there.
That was Gavin Sheets, who is playing left field tonight for the Padres. Could very well play left field with Ramon Laureano out in Wrigley next week. We'll see how it all shakes out. But that was Gavin Sheets earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. We'll hear from tonight's DH, Ryan O'Hearn, coming up in just a matter of minutes. But first, let's give you our keys to this series opener.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Our keys to tonight's game. We're going to take a little bit of a different approach with this tonight because I think one of the major keys in this series for the Padres overall is limiting the very top of the Arizona lineup. That is where the Diamondbacks are really dangerous right now. So let's go through our keys in terms of the top of the Arizona lineup. Key number one, limit Perdomo. Geraldo Perdomo has put together a great season for the Diamondbacks. He's hitting .289. He's got 19 home runs. That's really just the start of what's been a terrific year for him. It almost feels like he's a hidden secret kept in Arizona. He's been really good as of late. Last 14 games, batting .373 with north of an 1,100 OPS. However, one note on Perdomo, he is just 1 for 16 with 7 strikeouts in his career against Yu Darvish. Key number two, let's stay on the Arizona lineup here. Control Carroll. Unlike Perdomo, Corbin Carroll has great numbers against Darvish. He's 8 for 17 against him with 2 home runs. And Carroll has swung the bat really well lately. He's batting .333 in his last 10 games. And key number 3, let's keep on looking at the offense here for Arizona. Don't let Marte mash. Ketel Marte hitting .361 in his last 8 games, 5 doubles and a home run in that span. Top 3 in the lineup for Arizona, Perdomo, Marte, and Carroll. That is where the Diamondbacks get a lot of their offense from. Keep an eye on that top third of the order, both in the first inning and beyond. And that's a look at our keys to today's game with a real focus on the Arizona lineup. Now let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Sorry, I switched it up.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have 2 finals already today. Cubs beat up on the Cardinals 12-1 in Chicago. So again, that sets up the scenario tonight. If the Padres do not win tonight's game, then the Padres are definitely going to Chicago for the wild card series. Think about it this way. The Cubs' magic number to clinch the home field in the wild card series is at 1. That's really the way to think about it right now. Phillies beating the Twins earlier tonight 3-1. Games going on right now. Nationals ahead of the White Sox 9-8 in D.C. in the 8th inning. Yankees ahead of the Orioles 7-4 in New York in the 7th inning. Blue Jays, who are battling with the Yankees for the American League East title, they're leading the Rays 4-2 in Toronto in the 8th inning. Tigers lead the Red Sox 3-2 at Fenway in the 8th inning. Red Sox can clinch a postseason berth with a win tonight. The Marlins scoring 6 runs in a single inning. I believe that was the 5th. Double check that later, but it was in a single inning. Marlins taking a 6-2 lead against the Mets in the 8th inning. That's very significant for a couple of teams. Rangers lead the Guardians 7-2 in Cleveland in the 7th inning. Pirates ahead of the Braves 4-2 in Atlanta in the 7th inning. Reds and the Brewers are tied at 1 in Milwaukee in the 5th inning. So if the Mets lose and the Brewers find a way, or I should say, the Reds find a way to beat the Brewers, the Reds would then move back into control of the final wild card spot. And by the way, the Mets losing right now, if that score holds, is also a big deal for Arizona because they hold the tiebreaker against the Mets and they're only 2 games back. So they would have an opportunity tonight here in San Diego to pick up a game on the Mets. So that is very good news right now for the Reds and the D-backs. Other games yet to begin. Astros and the Angels in Anaheim at 6:38.
The Dodgers and Mariners in Seattle at 6:40. Royals and the A's in Sacramento at 7:05. Rockies and the Giants at 7:15 in San Francisco. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. When we come back, we'll take a deeper dive into today's starting pitching matchup, and we also hear from tonight's DH Ryan O'Hearn. That and more coming up after this on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the lofts here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the D-backs, game one of this three-game series. Ryan O'Hearn DHing for the Padres here tonight. Here was his reaction to the Padres losing Ramon Laureano through at least the wild card series.
Yeah, I mean, very tough. I've been, watching Ramon do what he's done all season long. He's been incredible. So to, lose him going into the postseason is definitely tough, big blow. But, nature of this game is someone's got to step up and got to keep going and find a way to win games.
And you guys have done that all season long. I mean, there's some comfort in knowing that not the first time you've had to overcome an adversity like this, and you guys have done it. Here we get a chance to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've spoke to how deep the team is, and position player side is no exception. There's 13 really good position players, and we got guys who are going to step up and do the job and keep this thing going.
So you're playing the Cubs in the wild card round. Don't know where yet, but did you see him this year when you were in Baltimore? So the Padres played him too early.
No, I didn't see him. They the Orioles played the Cubs the day after the trade deadline. So I was here.
just missed him. History in Chicago, just kind of what it's like to play, in those ballparks there in that city.
It's a beautiful ballpark. It's probably my favorite, just because of the history. And I know the atmosphere is going to be electric, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, playoff baseball is what you work so hard for, what you play for. Going to be an amazing atmosphere. I'm excited to be, on a team that's as good as we are, and you just got to take it one game at a time. You got to try to find a way to win games in the playoffs. And, I'm excited.
You do know that in all likelihood you'd face a couple of lefties on the Cubs as far as their starters. Is that something that you start thinking about this weekend, or do you kind of wait till the regular season wraps up to begin your preparation for that series?
I don't know if I'll be thinking about that. I think, I feel pretty good against lefties and righties right now in the box. So, whatever it is, we're going to suit up and we're going to go play a baseball game. So, they got a good team. We got a good team. It's playoff baseball. It's the best teams going at it. So it's going to be awesome.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For, presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game? What kind of outing do the Padres get from Yu Darvish tonight? The 39-year-old making his final start of the regular season. He's 4-5 with a 5.51 ERA in 14 starts so far this year. Last start against the White Sox, little up and down. He went 4 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs given up on 6 hits. He's making his third start of the season against Arizona, went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 2 earned runs on July 7th in San Diego, 4 innings, 3 earned runs on August 5th. In Arizona. And that's what to watch for tonight. What kind of outing do the Padres get from Yu Darvish? On the other side of this pitching matchup, right-hander Zach Gallen on the mound for Arizona. He's 6-2 with a 2.82 ERA in 10 starts since the trade deadline. He's been very good as of late, and he has been very good against the Padres in his last 5 starts against them. 4-0 with a 1.42 ERA against them. Beat him here in San Diego on July 7th with 1 unearned run allowed in 6 innings. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Game 1 of this 3-game series, the final series of the regular season, should be a fun one on the final City Connect Friday night, at least with these uniforms, the bright colors. Enjoy it all on this Friday evening here at Petco Park. Jesse and Tony come your way when we come back to downtown San Diego, right here on the Padres Radio Network.